Welcome. Today we are exploring the life and sprawling career of one of the most dynamic and I think often unexpected figures in modern American entertainment, the actress Kirstie Alley.
She really was. Allie spent over 4 decades in the public eye, and she managed a career that involved, massive box office success, iconic television roles, and then later in her life, a fascinating willingness to blur the lines between celebrity, personal struggle, and reality television.
Absolutely. And for you, the curious listener seeking clarity and structure in understanding her complex public and private existence, that is our mission today. We're taking a comprehensive look at the scope of her existence.
We are. We're drawing exclusively from biographical data, details about her career arc, from her breakthrough on Cheers to her later, sometimes polarizing work, and the publicly documented aspects of her personal affiliations, her business ventures, and her political engagements, all is presented across our source material.
Our goal is to synthesize this breadth of information into a clear, insightful exploration of her existence, which, as we will see, often felt intensely vulnerable in public.
It did. But first, we should begin with a moment of respect. Kirstie Alley passed away in December 2022 at the age of 71, following a battle with colon cancer.
Okay, so let's unpack this and start at the roots, focusing on where she came from and the significant, truly defining tragedy that occurred just before her acting career exploded onto the national stage.
Kirstie Louise Alley was born on January 12, 1951, and her birthplace was Wichita, Kansas. Her background was decidedly, middle American and comfortable.
Right. Her father, Robert D. Alley, he owned a lumber company.
Exactly. So that provided a very stable, established environment. Her mother was Lillian Alley, and the sources also mention she grew up alongside her two siblings, Colette and Craig.
Her early life, it seems to track a common path for many young Kansans at the time. She graduated from Wichita Southeast High School in 1969, and the sources note that she then enrolled at Kansas State University. But she only completed her sophomore year there before deciding to drop out.
And that decision, I think, marked the true beginning of her journey away from the Midwest. It's a huge pivot point.
A massive one.
Leaving Kansas State signaled a pursuit of something far, far removed from the lumber company and the stability of Wichita. She moved directly to Los Angeles.
And she arrived with a very specific set of ambitions. It wasn't just, I want to be famous.
No, not at all. The sources confirm she arrived with a twin set of goals. She intended to pursue Scientology, which she formally joined in 1979, and to establish herself professionally as an interior designer.
It's one of those amazing, surprising details that often gets overshadowed by her later fame. Before she was an actress, she was an ambitious young woman working in design.
And that profession actually led to her earliest and probably most surprising media appearances.
On game shows.
Exactly. Her very first exposure to a national audience came not through acting, but through game shows. In 1979, the sources confirmed she appeared as a contestant on the popular game show Match Game.
And she was good at it.
She was very successful. She won both her games and took home a total of $6,000. Then she followed that up in 1980 with an appearance on Password Plus.
And crucially, on both of those shows, her profession was listed as an interior designer.
Correct. It just shows her early hustle and this competitive nature.
What's so fascinating here is that this period, this intense time of finding her footing in Los Angeles, pursuing design and exploring her new faith, was just tragically interrupted by a devastating personal event. And it provides such critical context for her future public resilience.
We have to address the defining tragedy of 1981. It was an automobile crash caused by a drunk driver.
Just awful.
The accident resulted in the death of her mother, Lillian Alley, and it left her father, Robert D. Alley, seriously injured. And this trauma occurred almost immediately before her professional film debut.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, understanding this intense personal tragedy, it provides crucial insight into the extraordinary intensity, the determination, and the public resilience she later displayed.
It has to.
To face such a massive loss, just as you're launching a high-stakes public career, it must necessitate a fundamental shift in your perspective on everything.
Absolutely. The subsequent resilience she showed, the willingness to put herself forward, to engage in public battles, and to make major career decisions, it could be seen in part as a reflection of navigating and surviving that profound early public grief.
It really sets the stage for a personality that was not afraid of confrontation or controversy.
No, because she had already faced, you could argue, the worst personal disaster imaginable.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because despite that heavy personal turmoil, her film career took off immediately afterward, and it launched in a major science fiction franchise that remains culturally immense today.
Her screen debut was in 1982 in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. She was cast as Lieutenant Savik, a Vulcan Starfleet officer.
But this wasn't just some small part. This was a hugely critical and high-profile role.
Oh, absolutely. That film is arguably one of the most beloved and successful entries in the entire Star Trek film franchise. So her debut was immediate and really globally recognizable.
The character of Lieutenant Savik was instantly popular with fans. I mean, instantly. Yet the sources confirm that Alley chose not to reprise the role in the next two film sequels, Star Trek III and Star Trek IV.
So the role had to be recast.
Right. And this early decision is very telling about her career strategy, even back then.
It speaks volumes about her business acumen and her willingness to pivot away from what looked like immediate established success.
For a rising star to leave a major, stable, and profitable franchise after only one film, it suggests either extremely high salary expectations that weren't met,
which is a key insight into her business savvy,
or a keen understanding of the risks of typecasting.
especially given the distinctiveness of playing a Vulcan. She clearly signaled early on that she was not just interested in comfort, but in controlling her own narrative and the diversity of her roles.
So following that high-profile debut, she spent the next few years deliberately establishing her presence across television and film, showing that versatility was her focus.
Precisely. From 1983 to 1984, she took a regular cast position on the ABC television series Masquerade. She didn't rely solely on feature films.
No, she was building a foundation.
And this was followed by more ambitious television work that proved her dramatic range.
And she took on roles with significant historical and cultural weight. In 1985, she portrayed the feminist icon Gloria Steinem in the television movie A Bunny's Tale,
which addressed the exploitation of Playboy bunnies. This was not light fare.
Not at all. It showed a commitment to meaty roles. She also starred in the major ABC miniseries, North and South, which spanned 1985 and 1986, giving her extended primetime dramatic exposure.
And her film career continued alongside all this intense television work. By 1987, she stepped back into lighter fare, starring alongside Mark Harmon in the high school comedy Summer School.
And this film was crucial. It proved her viability as a box office draw in a non-genre setting.
It was a genuine success. It grossed over $35 million in the United States, which, it cemented her status as a commercially viable leading actress.
She followed that up with roles in thrillers like Shoot to Kill in 1988, showing she could lead in multiple genres. So the groundwork was now fully laid for her entry into peak stardom.
The stage was indeed perfectly set for the role that would define her career for a generation. She entered one of the most beloved and iconic sitcoms in television history.
But she faced enormous pressure.
Oh, immense pressure. She had to replace a central foundational character.
That pressure is the essential context for her joining the cast of Cheers in 1987. She arrived as Rebecca Howe, essentially replacing Shelley Long's character, Diane Chambers,
who was the female lead opposite Ted Danson. I mean, it's an almost impossible task for any actor.
Joining a hugely successful, established, and critically adored show in its 6th season, and then being asked to fundamentally redefine the central tension.
And yet she redefined it completely. Diane Chambers was the intellectual foil. Rebecca Howe was the high-strung, ambitious corporate manager of the bar.
Right. Driven by professional aspiration and often crippled by her personal neuroses.
Alley remained with the NBC sitcom for 6 years, all the way until its 11th and final season in 1993. And she successfully navigated that entire transition period.
And she didn't just survive in the role, she became indispensable to the show's later success. Her performance brought her significant, measurable awards recognition.
Which is a testament to her talent and the writer's ability to adjust. She earned multiple Emmy and Golden Globe nominations for the role and ultimately won both an Emmy Award and a Golden Globe in 1991.
That 1991 Emmy acceptance speech is a piece of classic television history.
It is, and it perfectly encapsulates the public persona she cultivated. Bold, humorous, and unafraid of public transparency.
She famously thanked my husband, Parker, the man who has given me the big one for the last 8 years.
It was a moment of just shocking, self-assured humor that transcended the standard celebrity acceptance speech. It was pure Kirstie Alley.
And this sitcom dominance was happening at the same time as a massive big-screen phenomenon. She was leading the box office alongside John Travolta in a film that just captured the zeitgeist.
Look Who's Talking came out in 1989.
Yes.
And Look Who's Talking was far more than a modest success. It was a global phenomenon. It grossed over $295 million worldwide.
A staggering figure for a romantic comedy premise, especially one centered on the voice of a baby.
This success just solidified her status as an undeniable, bankable movie star.
And the financial weight of that success ensured the franchise continued immediately.
It did. It spawned 2 sequels featuring the same core cast. Look Who's Talking 2 in 1990, and then Look Who's Talking Now in 1993. This trio of films cemented her commercial power throughout the early 1990s.
So it offered this constant counterpoint to her weekly television fame. She was everywhere.
But the sources also make it clear that her success and recognition continued outside of pure comedy blockbusters. She was recognized for serious dramatic work as well.
What's fascinating here is that versatility allowed her to win her second Emmy Award in 1994, not for comedy, but for her leading role in the television film David's Mother.
This role showcased a much more serious, dramatic side. It confirmed that her appeal transcended the specific comedic character of Rebecca Howe.
That same year, she also received an Emmy nomination for her work in the crime drama miniseries The Last Dawn.
A clear sign that the film industry recognized the depth of her contributions. And this period of peak recognition, it culminated in a significant honor.
Her star on the Walk of Fame.
Yes. In 1995, she received a Motion Picture Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, located at 7000 Hollywood Boulevard, permanently marking her contribution to the industry.
Her filmography throughout the mid to late 90s continued to be incredibly varied, showing she was willing to embrace different tones and directorial styles.
You see her move from family films like the Olsen twins vehicle, It Takes Two in 1995, to working with one of America's most influential auteur directors,
Woody Allen.
In Woody Allen's intellectual comedy Deconstructing Harry in 1997. She also starred in the dark satire Drop Dead Gorgeous in 1999.
Which became a huge cult classic.
A significant cult classic. And finally, after Cheers ended, she returned successfully to the traditional network sitcom format with her own starring vehicle,
where she also held significant creative control.
That was Veronica's Closet, which ran from 1997 to 2000. She not only played the title character, Veronica Chase, the lingerie mogul, but she also served as an executive producer.
And this high level of control and involvement, it resulted in sustained critical attention. She got more nominations.
She did, including another Emmy and Golden Globe nomination, which really proved her staying power and viability as a network lead well into the end of the century.
So after the sustained traditional success of the 1990s, her career made a pivotal shift. It moved into a space that blended acting with an increasing willingness to use her own public image.
Including her struggles and her body image for commercial gain, reality television, and comedy that was intensely self-referential.
This shift started in the early 2000s, moving into high-profile commercial and business roles. From 2000 to 2004, she was the highly visible commercial spokesperson for Pier 1 Imports.
But the more defining shift came when she began her association with the weight loss industry, serving as a spokesperson for Jenny Craig from 2004 to 2007.
And that commercial partnership provided the material for the next phase of her career, which was the deliberate use of her personal struggles as content.
She became one of the first major stars to truly monetize the vulnerability surrounding body image.
The sources show this began in 2005 when she played a fictionalized, heavily self-referential version of herself on the Showtime series Fat Actress.
This was a groundbreaking and very bold move. She was taking her own public struggle with weight, a topic typically whispered about in Hollywood, and using it as the satirical engine of a television series.
She directly capitalized on and satirized the constant scrutiny she faced.
That willingness to be transparent and self-deprecating continued, and it paved the way for reality TV dominance.
In 2010, she starred in the reality show Kirstie Alley's Big Life.
This was a genuine, documented attempt to use her life as the subject matter, not just a fictionalized version of it. And this culminated in her entry into competitive celebrity reality television.
Her turns as a competitor on Dancing with the Stars were incredibly high profile.
She competed twice in season 12 and later in season 15, which was an all-star season, where she partnered with Maxim Shmerkovsky.
And she did very well.
She finished as the runner-up in season 12, which demonstrated her immense public popularity and continued her tradition of transparency regarding her personal life and physical challenges. This exposure was huge.
And it wasn't just in the U.S.
No. She later finished as the runner-up on the British reality show Celebrity Big Brother in 2018, confirming her transatlantic appeal in the reality space.
In her later career, she did attempt to return to the stability of the traditional sitcom structure.
In December 2013, TV Land launched the sitcom Kirstie, where she played a Broadway star named Madison Maddie Banks.
The show got a lot of attention because it was marketed as a Cheers reunion of sorts.
Right. It reunited her with co-star Rhea Perlman and Michael Richards of Seinfeld fame. However, the series ultimately ran for only 5 months.
She later took a role on the Fox comedy horror series Scream Queens in 2016. And there's a remarkable symmetry to her very late career. In 2019, she effectively completed a full circle, returning to the game show Match Game.
40 years after being a contestant, only this time she was seated as a celebrity panelist.
It's an amazing bookend.
This full circle moment is a powerful anecdote. She's only the second former contestant known to return as a celebrity panelist, highlighting that trajectory from early ambition to established fame.
The host, Alec Baldwin, even surprised her with a clip from her original 1979 appearance.
And her absolute last television appearance documented in the sources was in 2022, shortly before her passing, when she competed in Season 7 of The Masked Singer as the costumed character Baby Mammoth.
This relentless willingness to document, commercialize, and navigate her personal life in public, it raises an important question. How did her deeply personal commitments and public struggles intersect with the longevity and diversity of her career trajectory?
This section demands careful analysis of her family, her business conflicts, and her deepest affiliations.
Okay, starting with family, she was married twice. Her first marriage was to her high school sweetheart, Robert Bob Alley, from 1971 to 1977.
And it's an interesting detail that her first husband shared the exact same name as her father.
It is. Her second marriage, which was highly visible throughout her peak stardom, was to actor Parker Stevenson.
That lasted from 1983 to 1997. After experiencing a miscarriage, the couple pursued adoption, bringing home a son in 1992 and a daughter in 1995.
Alley later became a grandmother in 2016 through her son. The source material also notes her significant real estate holdings, including estates in Jacksonville, Oregon, and Clearwater, Florida, which she retained until her death.
So next, we must delve into the subject that became so deeply integrated into her public persona and led to major business ventures and legal trouble. Her body image journey.
And the complex business of weight loss.
Alley was highly transparent about this. During an appearance on the Dr. Oz show in 2012, she explained that she felt she had been a compulsive eater throughout her life, but only began noticing significant sustained weight gain after reaching early menopause in 1992.
And she said the dramatic increase accelerated in late 2003.
Right. And that transparency was the fuel for her first major commercial relationship. During her initial stint as a spokesperson for Jenny Craig from 2004 to 2007, she publicly documented the loss of 75 pounds.
She reduced her weight to 145 pounds. This was a highly successful, high-visibility endorsement.
The difficulty, however, was in maintenance, a challenge she also openly shared. In May 2009, she revealed to People magazine that she had gained back 83 pounds after she parted ways with Jenny Craig,
reaching a weight of 228 pounds.
And this immense public setback led to her decision to pivot and launch her own weight loss business.
This was the launch of Organic Liaison, and the concept was entirely based on her personal experience and her own professed success.
In September 2011, she announced she had lost 100 pounds using products from Organic Liaison. But the highly public nature of this success brought intense legal scrutiny.
It did. In 2012, she was hit with a class action lawsuit alleging false advertising regarding the efficacy of Organic Liaison.
And the core of the legal challenge wasn't just whether the products worked, but whether her weight loss was truly attributable to the supplements.
Or if it was primarily the result of the intense daily professional physical training she received while competing on Dancing with the Stars.
This is where the legal action provides a key insight into the celebrity endorsement model itself. The lawsuit essentially forced a public inquiry into the gap between celebrity performance and product claims.
And she settled that suit in 2013, agreeing to highly detailed and specific terms that directly undermined the original proven claims.
The settlement required her to pay $130,000, and more significantly, she had to remove the phrase, proven products, from the packaging of Organic Liaison items.
And crucially, she had to issue a disclaimer on the brand's website clarifying that the product must be defined to consumers as a calorie-based weight loss product.
The legal implication here is enormous. It was a public admission, via settlement, that the highly visible weight loss was due to fundamental caloric restriction and intense physical activity, not a miracle ingredient, which fundamentally undercut the marketing claim.
That chapter closed in April 2014 when she resumed her role as spokeswoman for Jenny Craig.
At that point, the Organic Liaison product line was acquired by Jenny Craig's parent company and integrated into their suite of products. She later stated in January 2015 that she had successfully lost 50 pounds since resuming the program, effectively completing the public cycle of weight loss and endorsement.
Now, moving to the third major personal commitment, one that consistently dictated her life choices and career decisions, her profound commitment to the Church of Scientology.
Alley was raised a Methodist, but she became a deeply committed member of the Church of Scientology in 1979. And this affiliation began with a highly personal, life-changing experience.
She publicly credited the Scientology-affiliated drug treatment program, Narconon, with helping her end a serious cocaine addiction she had struggled with before joining the church.
This connection is crucial. Narconon is a highly specific, non-traditional form of drug treatment based entirely on the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology.
A neutral explanation requires noting that the program involves a specific detoxification method.
Correct. It includes saunas and high-dose vitamins. Her success through this specific program solidified her belief and commitment to the church's philosophy, giving context to her deep affiliation.
And her devotion was not passive. She achieved very high operational levels within the church, which requires a vast commitment of time, resources, and study.
That's vital to understand. By 2007, she had reached the level of OT7, or Operating Thetan Level 7.
For a listener seeking to understand the significance of this, OT7 is considered a very high state of spiritual awareness and mastery within the church's hierarchy.
Right. It often requires years and hundreds of thousands of dollars of instruction. By 2018, the sources note she had achieved new OT8, which is generally considered the highest publicly attainable state of spiritual freedom within Scientology.
This demonstrates an extreme level of personal commitment.
And she also demonstrated financial commitment, giving $5 million to the church in 2007.
This level of philosophical commitment had direct, tangible impacts on her professional life, leading to the notable refusal that separated her from one of the most successful sitcom spin-offs in history.
This is where the personal affiliation connects directly back to her career trajectory, a fascinating intersection of belief and business. She famously refused to reprise her Cheers role as Rebecca Howe on any episode of the spin-off series Frasier.
And her rationale, as stated in the sources, was that the series was centered on the field of medical psychiatry,
which conflicted profoundly with the philosophical ideas of the Church of Scientology.
The core concept here is that Scientology views traditional psychiatry as destructive and harmful based on L. Ron Hubbard's teachings.
So by refusing to participate in a show where the main character was a psychiatrist, Alley prioritized her religious principles over a potentially lucrative and highly visible career opportunity.
She was the only former Cheers regular not to make an appearance on the popular spinoff.
And that refusal just underscores the immense influence her faith had on her decision-making process. The personal commitment wasn't just a side hobby. It was a driving force that dictated multi-million-dollar professional choices.
So what does this all mean when we look at her publicly documented political choices over the years? We must look impartially at her stated views, noting the complexity and the shifts involved, particularly how she publicly justified her endorsements.
The sources show a highly engaged and independent voter. Alley herself publicly stated that she supported candidates across the entire political spectrum throughout her life.
She noted voting for Democrat George McGovern, Democrats Carter and Clinton,
and Republicans Reagan and George W. Bush. She also supported the independent candidate Ross Perot in 1992.
And she also stated that she declined to vote entirely in 2 election cycles, 1988 and 2004.
This history suggests that long before the 2016 cycle, she was already highly nonpartisan and willing to vote based on specific candidates rather than strict party lines.
However, the most intense media scrutiny arrived during the 2016 and 2020 cycles due to her public endorsements made primarily through social media.
In August 2015, she first announced she would not support the Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton for the 2016 election. Then, in April 2016, she publicly tweeted her support for Republican presidential candidates Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani.
But the volatility continued, showing her willingness to immediately correct course if her opinion shifted.
Right. Later that same year, in October 2016, she publicly retracted her endorsement of Trump, stating directly in a tweet, and we quote the source, "I hate this election, and I'm officially no longer endorsing either candidate."
This type of public reversal from a high-profile figure is rare and indicative of her outspoken nature.
This public wavering did not end her engagement. When the 2020 election cycle arrived, she intended to vote for Donald Trump again.
And she defended this decision, responding to critics in October 2020 by stating that she intended to vote for him specifically because he's not a politician.
That rationale supporting a perceived outsider was a key theme in her later political statements. She also endorsed Republican John James in the 2020 U.S. Senate election in Michigan.
So to summarize her political path, the sources show a voter who is highly willing to engage publicly, supporting nominees across the political spectrum, Democrats, Republicans, and an independent, but always operating outside the confines of strict party loyalty.
Her defining political characteristic in the end was her willingness to publicly express evolving, sometimes contradictory support and to state her shifting rationale, particularly aligning with candidates who she felt existed outside the established political system. This public volatility mirrored the overall candidness of her career.
We circle back now to the final chapter of her life, reflecting on the full scope of her incredibly diverse, often self-documented, and impactful career.
The sources confirm the diagnosis came relatively suddenly. In May 2022, she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer.
She had initially sought medical attention for a persistent sore back, which led to the devastating diagnosis.
She subsequently underwent chemotherapy treatments at Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa, Florida, but the illness progressed rapidly. She died on December 5, 2022, at the age of 71.
Following her death, the film and television community offered an immediate and widespread outpouring of tributes and sympathy from her former colleagues across every peak of her decades-long career.
We saw memorial statements from her ex-husband Parker Stevenson and her 2 children demonstrating the lasting family bond even after divorce. Her Look Who's Talking co-star John Travolta released a heartfelt tribute, as did her Cheers co-stars, including Ted Danson, Kelsey Grammer, and Rhea Perlman.
And these tributes consistently highlighted not just her talent, but her unique personality and the lasting impact she had on those she worked with.
Her career was genuinely comprehensive. Starting as a game show contestant listed as an interior designer, evolving into a standout Vulcan officer, then an Emmy-winning sitcom star, a successful film lead, and later an early adopter and master of reality TV as a means of personal expression and commercial monetization.
She was consistently a figure who integrated her personal search for recovery, knowledge, and self-improvement into her highly public life.
She certainly managed to sustain a career in Hollywood under conditions that would have deterred most.
The final discussion point for you to consider is this. Kirstie Alley's unique path, specifically her choice to integrate and publicize deeply personal journeys like her recovery from cocaine addiction via Narconon and her struggles with weight loss into her professional narrative, changed the way celebrities engaged with the public in the decades that followed.
She helped set a crucial precedent for a level of extreme, transparent, yet controlled public vulnerability, paving the way for the confessional celebrity culture we see today.
That is certainly a powerful legacy to reflect on.
Indeed.
Thanks for listening.